From LEGO creating a super glider that can't even glide to recycling faces for minifigures, here's even more negative IQ sets that will have you questioning your own IQ. For example, the First Order AT-ST set is quite the peculiar one. Based on The Last Jedi, it faithfully replicates the incomplete walker from the movie. The problem? It's incomplete, literally. The set skips the top section of the AT-ST, making it feel more like a partially assembled kit than a finished display piece. While this is true to the film, it's a missed opportunity for LEGO to add a removable top section for variety. At $40, it feels like the set's design suffered from a case of shrinkflation, giving you less for more. I'd say this is such a low IQ idea because it turns a cool concept into an awkward execution. By skipping the top section entirely, LEGO limits its play and display value, making the set feel incomplete and overpriced. It's as if someone said, let's sell half a product and call it creative. Moving on to Ahsoka Tano's duel on Peridia, where repetitive builds and an eye-watering 20 stickers dominate the experience. Stickers are quite a topic among LEGO fans, and this set is practically a manifesto for the less is more movement. At $55, the price feels steep for a build that lacks innovation. The exclusive minifigures are a redeeming feature, but even they can't distract from the uninspired design. Then there's the Chewbacca set, a large-scale attempt to bring the galaxy's favorite Wookiee to life in brick form. The execution is debatable to say the least. Representing fur with LEGO bricks is no small feat, and here it results in a model that's more fuzzy nightmare than faithful reproduction. At $200, this is a high-risk, high-reward gamble. This is a crazy low IQ idea because trying to replicate Chewbacca's fur with rigid LEGO bricks was doomed from the start. Instead of capturing the beloved Wookiee's charm, the set delivers an uncanny and awkward model that leaves fans wondering why $200 was spent on a blocky Bigfoot. The Obi-Wan Kenobi vs. Darth Vader set, based on the Kenobi series, includes 4 iconic minifigures: Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, Tala Durith, and Ned B. But the build itself, flat, gray, and barren. It's like someone carved out a chunk of cement and slapped some characters on it. Originally priced at $50, but now available for $30, it seems even LEGO realized this set was as exciting as a sand dune on Tatooine. While it serves as a small nod to the series, it feels more like a piece of a larger custom creation than a standalone set itself. Then there's the ultimate lightsaber duel from 2005. This set holds the dubious honor of being one of the lowest rated LEGO Star Wars sets ever, with a 2.8 star rating from 20 reviews. It features Anakin and Obi-Wan battling it out on a chunk of Mustafar, but not very convincingly. The lava background looks fine in photos, but remove the box and it's just a generic pile of parts. Adding to the frustration are the figures, which are mounted on sticks designed to flip for dueling action. The problem? They flip and keep flipping, leaving you with a frustrating wobbly mess. It's no wonder this set left fans feeling the frustration of the dark side. The Technic C-3PO set might be one of the strangest attempts at recreating the galaxy's most beloved protocol droid. From the get-go, it seems LEGO made some odd choices. First off, C-3PO's iconic gold plating is swapped for a mostly black design, giving him a shadowy disaster aesthetic rather than the regal sheen we all know and love. But it doesn't stop there. The build is shaky, with rigid, unbending knees that make any kind of posability a pipe dream. To top it off, the limbs tend to fall off at the slightest touch, and getting them back on is apparently harder than escaping a trash compactor on the Death Star. The set's one redeeming feature, a self-destruct button, sounds fun in theory, but struggles to work properly. Overall, this Technic take on C-3PO feels more like a droid in distress than a star-worthy display, leaving it low on playability and even lower in the fan ratings. Not really the smartest LEGO creation in history. Then we have General Grievous's Combat Speeder from the 2018 release lineup. According to Brickset, this set is infamous as the lowest rated LEGO Star Wars set ever, a title that's both impressive and tragic given the vast lineup. Inspired by the Clone Wars episode A Necessary Bond, this scene sees Grievous chasing Ahsoka on Florum. While the show oozes tension and high stakes, the LEGO set brings confusion. For starters, Mace Windu, who wasn't even part of the scene, is included. Meanwhile, the speeder itself looks wildly inaccurate, being far larger and featuring mismatched colors compared to its on-screen counterpart. If that wasn't enough, fans felt the set reeked of a cash grab, with just 157 pieces priced at $30. The price per piece ratio made it feel overpriced and underwhelming. despite featuring 2 beloved characters, this set didn't stand a chance against fan scrutiny. The Desert Skiff and Sarlacc Pit set from Star Wars is a prime example of LEGO's recent trend of downgrading popular sets. For $80, you get a pretty basic skiff and a bland sand mound. While earlier versions of the set included more interesting features like Jabba's sail barge, this one feels like it's missing the extra flair that fans would expect. It's kind of like getting the main dish at a restaurant and then realizing you've been served the kids menu. Not exactly the treat you were hoping for. Now, the LEGO Avengers Helicarrier. Seems like an exciting idea, right? A miniature version of the iconic aircraft carrier from the Marvel Universe. However, it comes with a hefty $80 price tag for just 509 pieces. For that price, you're essentially paying for the Marvel adult tax, which is essentially the cost of pretending you're still a kid but with a bigger wallet. The build itself is solid and the design is nice, but the added cost combined with an overload of stickers, seriously, who needs that many stickers, makes it a questionable purchase, especially when compared to better sets like the 2023 Quinjet, which offers more bang for your buck. Essentially, it's like buying a high-end product but realizing the extra premium doesn't match the product's quality. Then there's the Batman 8-in-1 brickheads. Now, this sounds like a cool idea at first, 8 Batman options, but wait, you can only build one Batman at a time. So what's the deal with the other parts? Oh, that's right, those extra pieces are just for show unless you go and buy multiple sets. The cherry on top, the alternate builds aren't included in the instructions, but are basically hidden away in LEGO's app, which makes the whole thing feel unnecessarily complicated. This ultimately gives you a lot of unused pieces and a bit of confusion. Next, the Batman Killer Croc Sewer Smash set. Sounds promising. The Batman Killer Croc Sewer Smash set sounds promising. Batman vs. Killer Croc, a couple of flashy vehicles, and the promise of high-octane action. But the execution falls short. The vehicles, which should be exciting, are overly simplistic and hollow, leaving you with big empty spaces that should have been filled with more intricate details. The repetitive tasks like attaching Technic treads and teeth make the build feel more like an assembly line project than a creative endeavor. What could have been a dynamic build ends up feeling like a slog, uninspired, repetitive, and lacking the fun that a Batman set should bring. Now, the Iron Man vs. the Mandarin Ultimate Showdown might be one of the strangest LEGO battles ever imagined. It's based on a non-movie accurate version of the showdown with a flamethrower tank that's about as relevant to Iron Man 3 as a toaster is to an underwater mission. The set has some bright colors, but the design feels clunky and disconnected, especially with its awkward Technic flamethrower arm. It's affordable, but the strange concept and poor execution makes it feel more like a LEGO original idea gone wrong than a classic showdown fans wanted to see. Not only that, but the Ultimate Spider-Man Spider Trike vs. Electro set might just be one of the oddest LEGO sets out there. The Spider Trike itself is something I can't quite wrap my head around. It looks more like a farm tractor than a superhero vehicle. The sticks jutting out from the back seem incomplete, and the whole thing just looks awkward, like Spider-Man is about to take a leisurely ride through a muddy field instead of fighting crime. To make things worse, the trike is flimsy, and Spider-Man has a habit of falling out because there's no plate to keep him in place. On the other hand, Electro's minifigure is pretty cool, with his translucent arms and his funky lightning board, but it can't make up for the trike's embarrassing design. Honestly, this set seems to be a bad idea from the start, with a dorky vehicle and a minifigure that's a little too cool for the rest of it. Now we have Eternal's Aerial Assault, which despite its ambitious Marvel tie-in, fell flat with fans. The minifigures were a major letdown, recycling faces from other characters. Icarus has Hawkeye's face, Sprite has Hermione's, and Captain America's hair? Yikes. Which made the set feel lazy and uninspired. To make matters worse, the deviant villain was criticized for being both poorly designed and dull in color. Sure, the set looks good on the box, but it doesn't live up to expectations when you actually start building, and the build itself, tedious. This is definitely one of the lowest rated Marvel sets out there. Then we have the Hogwarts Castle Boathouse set, which is a bit of a mixed bag. At $38, it's positioned as the entry-level version of the third iteration of Hogwarts Castle, which sounds fine until you realize that LEGO seems to constantly reset the Harry Potter series. This makes collecting these castle sets feel a bit like getting caught in a never-ending cycle, one where you're always buying new versions that aren't compatible with previous ones. For us, it's a pretty low IQ idea because it turns collecting into a frustrating and expensive loop. But for LEGO, it seems pretty smart by making new sets that don't fit with older ones, so it forces fans to keep buying. Instead of feeling the magical fantasy with Harry Potter, it just feels like a cash grab. Next, there's Hedwig at 4 Privet Drive, a small and decent build for $20. The problem is it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Between the brick-built Hedwig and the Brickheads versions, this one feels redundant. redundant. Like LEGO thought, why not squeeze in another Hedwig set just for the fun of it? The build is quick and simple, but honestly, that's all it is. Simple. There's not much creativity involved, and the small size limits how much fun you can actually have with it. It's just so low IQ because it adds nothing new or exciting. With so many Hedwig sets already, this one feels pointless. Like LEGO just made it to fill a gap, not because anyone needed it or wanted it. It's just small, simple, and forgettable. No offense, Hedwig. The Flying Ford Anglia is another in a long line of nearly identical versions of the iconic vehicle from Harry Potter. While it's fairly affordable at $15, it feels kind of unnecessary at this point. There's very little new or exciting here, and LEGO could have used the opportunity to try something more innovative, like scaling it up into a display piece. Instead, it's just another small minifig scale replica that doesn't offer anything fresh. Now, Aragog in the Dark Forest gets an interesting mention as one of the lowest rated Harry Potter sets, and it's not because of bad design. Well, not entirely. It's more because of Aragog himself. The giant jet black spider has unnerved more than a few people, mainly due to those creepy eyes and pincers. Making a set based on a giant spider might be bold, but for anyone scared of spiders, it's more nightmare fuel than a fun build. Not very magical. The Burj Khalifa set from 2011 Architecture Series offers a build that represents one of the most iconic architectural feats in the world. It's a decent homage to the tallest building on Earth, but the experience of building it less than thrilling. The entire model relies heavily on 1x1 round bricks, and let's just say it quickly becomes a repetitive exercise in stacking identical pieces. It's almost like LEGO missed a golden opportunity to showcase more advanced building techniques to truly capture the grandiosity of the Burj Khalifa. Instead, it feels like an oversimplistic and tedious task, which leaves you wondering why they didn't make it a bit more challenging or creative. Then there's Modern Art, which is a LEGO set based on modern art. Ironically enough, the idea of modern art is all about breaking conventions and pushing boundaries, so packaging it into a pre-designed LEGO set feels a little counterproductive. For $50, the price itself is nice, and it does end up looking aesthetically pleasing, but it feels like LEGO's take on creativity is a bit packaged. You're following instructions to something that's supposed to represent creativity, which almost feels like it's missing the point of modern art in the first place. LEGO's message board set takes a different approach, however, and not necessarily in a good way. For $100, you're essentially paying for beige tiles that you can rearrange to spell out letters, and that's it. The build is tedious, the frame feels flimsy, and the price tag is downright outrageous for something so uninspiring. You're better off raiding your spare bricks to make your own version of a message board, and honestly, it might even be more satisfying. Moving on to the Shadow the Hedgehog bust. It's hard to ignore how unsettling this set is. For $70, you're essentially getting a disembodied head of Shadow, but the build lacks smoothness, and from many angles, it just looks awkward. LEGO busts tend to have a certain polish, but this one is an exception. If you're not already a hardcore fan of Shadow the Hedgehog, you might find yourself asking, who's actually paying this much for a video game character's head on a stick? The answer apparently is a select group of very dedicated fans. Then there's Travel Moments, a set inspired by LEGO Masters that features a plane with detailed vignettes. Sounds cool, right? Except the final product turns out to be a flat earth model with some photo stands. For $60, you might expect a bit more creativity, but this set just falls flat, literally and figuratively. You can't even use all the features at once, making it feel incomplete and frankly, a little tacky. It's the kind of set that makes you think, what happened to the excitement? What happened to LEGO? What happened? The wooden minifigure is a curious one. Designed as a large LEGO wooden minifigure meant for display, it's a piece that shows aesthetic craftsmanship, but at $120, it feels absurd. It's a static figure with no real functionality, which goes against LEGO's usual charm of engaging in interactive builds. You can't even use it with your regular LEGO bricks, so it feels more like a collector's niche item than something that adds to the fun. The small bag of LEGO bricks that comes with it doesn't add much value either, leaving you to wonder why you'd spend so much on something that doesn't do much. The BTS Dynamite set from the LEGO Ideas targets BTS fans with a simple diorama from the Dynamite music video. While it's nice to see LEGO attracting new audiences, the minimalist design leaves much to be desired. For a whopping $100, this set feels overpriced, offering a beginner-level build with dumbed-down techniques that make it seem like an afterthought. Sure, it comes with BTS minifigures, but they don't quite make up for the lack of creativity or building depth. If you're expecting a satisfying LEGO experience, this isn't the set to look for. LEGO has ventured into some pretty bizarre territory over the years, and not all of their themes have aged well or found much success. Take Little Robots, for instance. This children's TV series aired in Europe around 2003, and was met with LEGO's attempt attempt to capture the show's magic with a few exclusive Duplo sets. These were only available through LEGO Shop at Home service, making them a regional curiosity that most LEGO fans have never even heard of, like myself. While some unique pieces were included, the real kicker was the robot's eyes. Those things are downright unsettling. It's like they're staring straight into your soul, making them prime candidates for any list of creepy LEGO sets. The LEGO Humongosaur set from 2010 has earned its reputation as one of the most disappointing LEGO sets in history. With only 14 pieces, it's hard to imagine how something so simple could go so wrong. The set's most glaring flaw is how confusing it is to even figure out what it's supposed to be. Humongosaur's limbs are disproportionately lanky, and many reviewers point out how the hollow back legs make him look even more wonky. Poses are nearly impossible, and any attempt at displaying him just ends up being a frustrating exercise in futility. Fans described him as hideous and unsatisfying, and the best thing anyone could say about him is that it was unique due to its brown pieces. That's not the kind of praise you want your set to get. The Snap Jet Car from 1998 is another contender for worst set ever. This set is part of LEGO's Snap series, but with just 26 pieces, it barely qualifies as a jet car. Honestly, it's more of a weird blob on wheels. The alternate builds are even worse, basically an incoherent mess of pieces. For $3, you're better off getting a snack, like literally anything, because this set doesn't even give you the satisfaction of a decent build. It's about as car-like as a stack of ice cream sticks, and for the same price, you could go buy something that at least doesn't look like a rejected school art project. The Jack Stoner Super Glider is wildly regarded as one of the most pointless LEGO sets ever made. It's called a Super Glider, but the glider is a flimsy piece of paper attached to 5 LEGO pieces. The minifigure itself is glued together, so you can't even move him. All in all, this makes the set an insult to everything LEGO stands for: creativity, playability, and fun. The glider itself doesn't even glide. You'd think the Super Glider would do something, but no, it just plummets to the ground like Jack Stone's hopes and dreams. And then there's Galador Nick from 2002, a set that's considered by many to be one of the ugliest and most confusing LEGO sets ever produced. Nick, the figure from the Galador series, has a weird warped appearance that makes it look more like a knockoff toy from a dollar store than a LEGO set. Made up of only 3 pieces, the head, torso, and legs, this set was basically just a random hunk of cheap plastic. It's so unlike anything LEGO has made before that it felt like an insult to the brand. Fans were absolutely appalled by its strange design and cheap quality, and the fact that it was tied to a short-lived TV series didn't help its reputation. Now last, but certainly not least, here's Scala, LEGO's attempt to appeal to young girls in the 90s. Created in an effort to compete with Barbie, this line was short-lived. The set featured a figure named Baby Thomas, whose stare is the kind of thing that haunts you in your nightmares. While Scala fizzled out quickly, it did introduce some unique pieces that are still compatible with modern-day LEGO sets, making it a curiosity for collectors. But let's be honest, no one's rushing to grab that Baby Thomas figure off the shelf. I mean, just look at it. So which set lowered your IQ the most? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed today's video, then please do consider subscribing.